All right. I'll try this again. Okay. Did they fix it? Okay. I guess they did fix it. Okay. So we are in a major fertilization evolutionary stage. And you have the chance to survive it. So when you think about it, what is a major fertilization evolutionary stage? That means that we have done so many different experiments with different viruses, whether it's on a specific person or on the population. It just means that science has now figured out how to advance humankind, but they needed to do all the experiments to see what kind of outcome it is. And so they figured out, okay, we can advance someone temporarily using the different cures and the different immunizations to control the symptoms when you're going through an upgrade. And so you'll get different changes from the different immunizations, plus also your exposure to different people. And so that'll help with the change without it being so extraordinarily energetic, which is why they say if you get an immunization, it should be less energy, though people still feel it, but it's all relative. How do you tell someone who hasn't really felt any energy, maybe they weren't exposed to an aggressive, person in their DNA, and then they get something like an immunization and they feel something from that? How do you tell them, well, it would have been worse? You can't get someone to understand that it would have been worse later if you hadn't done anything. And so then you're just like, okay, so everything is relative. So then you got to look at that. If the reason why people get cancer is because they have disabled their first and second lines of defense in a way that makes sense. And so they don't feel the stuff coming in. They don't release the stuff that's inside that needs to be. And so that's when things start replicating, and that is the life forms. That is the different cancers, the different diseases, the chronic illnesses. And now I know how to pose. Now I know how to explain what cancer disease and chronic illness is. It's the starting of a new viral entity that's going to turn into a person if left unchecked, or it'll turn into something that'll take over and destroy you. But then if you had it, see, that's the thing too. If you don't do anything, all right, if you don't do anything and you have a closed system, then yes, that entity inside of you will destroy you. Because if it's taking up resources, well, yeah, it'll destroy you at some point. Because you know what happens when people get bigger and bigger and bigger? They have entities living inside of them that is causing the cell replication. And so they're gaining more weight. And so they're feeding actually for 2 or 3 or 4 people. Can you imagine when somebody goes and gets surgery taken out and get all this fat taken out of their body from the different operations to lessen their weight? And there might be certain tumors that have beginnings of things that they don't even know. I'm sorry, this is crazy. And so I'm building up immunity right now. And so then if you're not coughing and sneezing and blowing your nose, and if you're not releasing through your sphincter all the excess, then those things growing inside will cause, yes, extra weight gain. You will have lumps inside your body that you don't even realize. That's why they ask you to get tested, so you can discover cancer before it becomes, out of control. And so you have to, so when you have an open system like mine is, I can go out and get inseminated by the world. Okay. Yeah, it's energetic. It's crazy. Let me tell you, you're seeing me now deal with the aftermath of yesterday, and I'm releasing. I was coughing so hard. I went out today with my dog because I took her out in the back, and I sneezed a few times when I was out there, but I actually felt strong. I actually felt strong against the environment. Whatever things were blowing into my yard yesterday, and whatever I was supposed to my husband, and whatever I received through the takeout, it was new. It was all new information that my body had to upgrade to. And that right there is a fertilization that it fertilized me, yes, and I'm going to actually assimilate to that new information and then release the excess so a new entity isn't growing inside of me. And that is what cancer is. What is disease? It's then your body fighting a war. You see, I was watching this movie about the Vietnam conflict, and it was a short video about why we were in Vietnam. And I didn't know it started off in 1945 when the French came in and tried to take over. And they took over for many years. And then Ho Chi Minh said, okay, we don't want to have you guys in here anymore. So we're declaring war against the French. And that's why that started the war back in 1945. And then we got involved in 1970 or 1960. So it wasn't too long thereafter that we got involved and got our troops involved. And we started trying to keep the peace or help the South become autonomous from the North. But really the North wanted to get everybody that was occupying out. And if you were going to be a traitor against the state, then you can go to America. And that's where all the South Vietnamese came here to America, because they didn't want to be ruled with communism or whatever. And that's the same thing with all these different therapies, is that they're starting a war inside, but then also this virus started a war inside of people. And it is the evolution. It's the new information wanting to proliferate, and the old information wants to resist. And so that's why you see then why, in Hawaii, where they released a mongoose to control the black rat population, and the mongoose didn't like the rats, they liked the turtle eggs. And so then the mongoose became really aggressive and proliferate. And I remember when I was in Hawaii, my friends were telling me that I was living with at the time that there's so many mongoose because they released a species that was supposed to eat up another species, but that didn't happen. The unintended consequence is that the turtle eggs were being eaten up and the rats were still running around. So imagine with all these different therapies, yes, you're going to have a baby virus. It may eradicate one species, but then another species comes in and becomes proliferate. And that's what all these pandemics. So it's not necessarily a bad... See, you're saying, when it comes to evolution, it's about the circle of life. You have so many lions, so many gazelle eating up all the grass. So how do you control the gazelle? Well, you need to bring in the lions. Okay, what happens if lions get too much? Well, the geography and the terrain and even mankind can control the lions. Who's controlling the gazelle? Who's controlling then the grass? And the grass isn't becoming too much, so the gazelles are eating all the grass. And it's like the circle of life. One is eating the other. And that's the same thing with these viruses. One virus gets really out of control, another virus goes and controls it. Okay, that's great. We have a moment of equilibrium, but then that virus becomes out of control, becomes a pandemic. Holy shit. And then what do? You find another virus that will go and control that. And it's just going to be no different than the circle of life with the lions and gazelles and mankind and zebras and dogs and cats and rats and elephants and all that stuff. Everything is a predator or a prey to something or something, so it doesn't get out of control. Now, translate that to a virus is the same thing. Okay? We may not agree from our perspective that, oh my God, but what are you going to do? People, we want to have evolution. We want to have innovation. We want to have advanced humans. We don't want to go back to freaking caveman days. People are going to have to deal with their predispositions, are going to have to deal with changes in the environment. Nothing ever stays the same because there's always something fluctuating over here that's going to eventually translate over here, and you have to be prepared for it, even if it's preempted. Because again, if you're just so happy with status quo and you're not being strategic in any way, and you're just consuming, and you're not adding to the mix, then what does Mother Nature have to do? Then Mother Nature has to come in and figure out, well, it's becoming too numerous with all these ants. It's becoming too numerous with all these rats. These viruses are becoming too numerous, and that translates to a person. Now we need something else to control that. And it's let me tell you, the circle of life is not fun in some instances when it has to go through an evolutionary change. It's not fun. Let me tell you, do I like feeling this way where I'm coughing, I'm blowing my nose? Well, do I want to suffer? Do I want to go get all the therapies and close up my system and not feel any of the symptoms? And then one day I have a freaking second head growing out of my stomach? No, and that's what's happening to people when they're taking part in all the therapies and even their antibiotics and their holistic remedies. They're closing up their alimentary canal. Well, but I'm taking all my detoxes. Then you're basically, you're throwing radiation all over the land, and you're stopping the life when you're doing all your detoxes. And that's what the holistic world is doing. So when the allopathic world is doing a compartmentalized, where they're going in and doing a nip and a tuck and targeting specific life forms that might get out of control, then the holistic system comes in, because again, the allopathic system, life wants to live. And so that antibiotic, that specific therapy is only going to last so long. Cures only last so long. So people get tired of the side effects, which is the body wanting to live. Side effects is the body saying, okay, you're trying to squelch me here, so let's play whack-a-mole. And so if life gets squelched here, it's going to come up here and want to live. It's going to come up here and want to live. And then people are feeling the side effects. They're feeling the pain. They're like, well, I'm not supposed to feel pain. I'm supposed to take this therapy and I'm supposed to feel pain. And now I feel pain over here instead of over here. And so then they go into the holistic world and they take all the tinctures. They take all the detoxes, the anti-whatever it is they're doing. And I see it in my holistic crowd. They're all selling their little formulas of tinctures. Say, here, drink this and put this on this. And then that creates another viral baby. That then causes the mutations in the viruses because the person is attacking their body with the tincture. They're attacking their body with the remedy. The body is like rejecting it and coughing out a new viral baby. So then not only does the therapies market, like in the regular, allopathic, are developing new viral babies because the body's under attack from oncology, but then all the holistic people selling their tinctures online, and someone's buying it and destroying their body that way, and the body is rejecting it, and they're coughing, sneezing, blowing their nose. They're releasing another viral baby out there, and they're adding to the pandemic. But we're supposed to have it. Well, I guess here's the thing. If you want to destroy yourself, fine. But you got to know that that's what you're doing. Well, we've been doing this for so many years. Well, here's the thing. It's going to happen faster when you're taking all your different therapeutics, whatever they are, because it is so aggressively dynamic out there that whatever you're trying to squelch, another thing's going to come in and try to invade, and it's going to keep progressively getting worse. And then the more that you fight against it and resist it with more of the deadly tinctures, then you're going to expire faster. And I knew that if the powers that be, the architects of this evolutionary stage, they know how people were going to react to symptoms, because they already see it, the behaviors in the population. As soon as you feel something, you take something for it. As soon as you feel something, you take something for it. And then what happens is, in the person, there's nothing left for the person to go and squelch. There's no more energy left for the person to squelch, because the body then overnight tries to find the resources to go do reparations. And there's no resources because all they see now is poison, which is all the tinctures. But can you tell someone in the holistic world that? No, because they're making money. And they're thinking they're ending people's suffering. Yeah, that's called microbial euthanasia. We can call you the little Dr. Kevorkians all over the place. But let me tell you, they couldn't hear this for the life of them. They wouldn't hear this for the life of them, because they think that they're doing something good. Well, okay, fine. And that's where all the Salem witch trials, all the different witches that were ostracized and were driven out and were hanged or all that stuff, they were practicing that kind of alchemy. So maybe there is some relevance to why there were those types of medieval things that went on back in the 1700s in Salem, Massachusetts, when men and women were taking deadly potions as antibiotics and mixing them and then giving them to people, causing them mutations, and someone acts out because the body is now revolting against that, and then they get a different behavior. Someone else catches that viral baby, it afflicts their sister or their brother, and they caught the spirit, whatever that is. It made them messed up in the head, And they traced it back to the witch that was mixing those potions together, causing then a mutation in that colony. And then you kind of see then why there was a lot of crap going on in the medieval times. People were going medieval on each other because there was so much evolution they were not prepared for, and were like, wow, why is this person's behavior changed? Well, they were exposed to this person. And then you can see how then the leaders of that community were tracing everything back then to the witch in the woods. The whole Goldilocks, well, not Goldilocks, the Red Riding Hood. And so then you see where all the stories came from. Okay? But that's what's going on right now. We have a lot of witches with their alchemy and their essential oils mixing antibiotics. They're all about the love, 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 and the hate, hate, hate. And let me end your suffering, called microbial euthanasia. The body's going to revolt, spit out a different operating system that's going to change someone's behavior, and then they're going to be afflicted. And then this is where all those stories come from. And so maybe there is some legitimacy to why the Puritans did what they did when it came to the witches coming into their world. And people were taking these potions because they wanted to look cute. They wanted to stop this. They wanted to do that. Like Ursula in the Little Mermaid. Trying to bypass Mother Nature. But Mother Nature, the devil takes his due. And then weird behaviors come out. And that's the evolution too. But that's the thing. It was unprepared evolution. And it wasn't supported correctly. That's the issue, is that, these witches, whatever you want to call them, right? They're giving people these potions and they're not telling them how to support the system correctly. And so people have behavioral issues. They are depleting. Their kids have other issues from that. And so that's why the FDA is coming down on the essential oils market, promoting cures, why all the people who are selling their tinctures are actually adding more issues to not only their own family, but the people around them, causing more mutations. And that's the intention now, because that's how the system knew how to figure out how to evolve people who don't get it out of existence, where they don't have to go back to the Salem witch trials. Because let me tell you, all those potions are a dime a dozen. They're sold on the open market. And you're like, holy shit. Yeah, well, it's intentional. Now it's intentional. Before it wasn't. Before it was the witch stuck in the woods. In their little gingerbread house, or whatever you call it. Hansel and Gretel, there's that. There's Hansel and Gretel, Little Red Riding Hood, all that stuff. Hansel and Gretel, that's right. The witch in the woods. Luring the children with all the candy and all the sweets and all the cookies and the cakes and the ice creams. And so, it's becoming quite clear the backstory behind the backstory. Behind the backstory behind the story. It's wow. And me dealing with it now, and when I was out there again with my dog, I felt stronger. I felt like seriously stronger. Just coughing. Even my first initial cough with the COVID, I felt strong afterwards. After yesterday, coughing like I did, I feel strong today. Yeah, you can hear it in my voice, or my diaphragm is still a little bit weak from just coughing so much, but I don't feel any pain. It's like doing a workout. It's like when someone goes out there and works out and they haven't worked out in a while. Yeah, it's painful the first time. But as soon as you get used to being exposed to different things and your body has a defense and it coughs and sneezes it out, it's not painful. Now you're just doing what you're supposed to do, what your immune system was meant to do. Not with these therapies bypassing it. Okay? And then again, when your alimentary canals are in your system, your mouth and your anus are atrophied because you were never exercising it the way that you should, that's when cancer happens. That's when disease happens. That's when the war inside happens. And that's why the bad behaviors, and even when you're taking your tinctures with the open or with a mostly closed system, That's what those tinctures do. They actually cause war inside of people. And I wish these holistic people who are selling these little fucking things would understand this. But no, it's now accepted because now we have bred so many people with so many issues that the system is not going to put a hammer down on those people that are selling their little oils and extracts on the internet, because they want them to destroy their friends and family. We're in a great reset. So we're not going to denigrate the witches in our society. We're going to welcome them in. Please level the population, control it, and make money off it too. But no, that's what's going on. Don't pretend that they're saving your life. Don't pretend you're helping somebody, Miss Holistic Professional or allopathic. Okay? There are ways that we can go about doing this, but there's also evolution that must happen. But we give people the fucking choice. We don't say this is the only way to save you is to take my little fucking tincture. Because I'm telling you, if you don't want to deal with all of this stuff and you don't want to feel anything and you just want to be out there until you pass away, you don't have to do the J juice. That's fine. You go take their tinctures and be anesthetized for a second. Who knows how long in this dynamic environment? It's anybody's guess. But at least know when you feel stuff like I'm feeling stuff, you know you'll survive it because you can handle it. Those that want to be anesthetized and be cured, they can't handle evolution, and they won't. They can't. There's no possible way they can handle evolution. They don't even know what it feels like because they don't feel anything except whatever emotions they want to play with when it comes to drugs and alcohol and other things that they give people, that feeling like that they can control their hormones that way. But again, that leads down to a very crazy path. So, all right, that's it. Bye.